A very warm afternoon to one and all present here. I hope everybody is safe and doing well. People currently affected by heavy floods in Hyderabad and nearby locations, our prayers go with you. On that note, I would like to welcome you all to the unveiling of our newest initiative, Jatayu. Human beings always want to be unshackled and let go of all their inhibitions. Their need to achieve something, create a name for themselves, and go as high as possible often mimics birds, who soar as high as their wings allow them. But for us, we may not be blessed with wings and feathers, but indeed we are blessed with brains and ideas. Ideas and creativity which will make us rise above all odds. On that note of flying high, I am proud to raise the curtains of Jatayu. With the success of neural hack competition for years, it's time that we start tapping into the expertise of pre-final year students, and here we are with the event titled Jatayu, Spread Your Wings and Reach for Your Dream. This is an exclusive competition for Virtusa partnered COE colleges in India. Unlike other competitions, this is curated in such a way that you will get a complete understanding of how a business requirement is understood and then taking it to the final stage of industrialization. On this occasion, we also have various business leaders who have provided their valuable insights and have spent countless hours to develop this program for all the participants here. Our first guest for the day is Mr. Giridhara Madakshira, Senior VP Technology at Virtusa. With a track record of 20 years in a wide variety of software platforms and business, Giri is a tremendous strength for our organization. He has also been a part of reputed organizations like Altimetric and Tech Mahindra. He is currently an integral part of Virtusa, constantly pushing us to be better. It is an honor to have you, Giri. Joining us along with Giri, thank you, Giri. Joining us along with Giri is Mr. Vikram Misrani, Team Lead for Strategy and Sales Enablement, Virtusa. With more than 12 years of experience in arenas like business, finance, and research, Vikram has been leading a team of experienced strategy and business research professionals who are working closely with the company's top leadership. Having previously worked in Hackett Group and Deloitte, he is helping us to scale new heights as we grow as an organization. I welcome you, Vikram.
Thank you, Sri.
I would also like to welcome Ms. Shashireka Balraj and Mr. John Rosario for joining us in this initiative. Lastly, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the dearest participants from varied colleges who have joined us here to make this launch more memorable. For Virtusa, it has always been a great pleasure to connect with students, and here we are with yet another event. I would like to take a pause here and request the students to post their questions in the chat box while we continue with the event. Please use the chat box for posting your questions as we proceed with the event. Now I would like to call upon Mr. Giridhara to kickstart Jatayu's flight and share a few words with us. Please.
Hi, thanks a lot, Sri. So respected teachers, my dear students, faculty members, this is a great privilege and honor to be part of this great event. And I have done a lot of sessions like this, but never done a remote session, and that to a virtual event like this. And that clearly shows that how technology is helping us to connect, even though in the midst of a pandemic situation like this. And with this, today, the Jatayu program that we are trying to launch is aimed towards innovation side of it. So when I say innovation, a lot of confusion rises in our mind, saying that what is the difference between research and innovation? In a very simple terms, if I have to put it across, research is nothing but converting dollar into knowledge, and innovation is take that knowledge and convert back to dollar, but with a multiplier effect or a greater impact on that. So today we have wealth of knowledge sitting out there with so much of research going on across the world, and we thought it would be a wonderful opportunity for you to come together and then join hands with Virtusa in building the next wave of innovation that we can bring in through this open innovation platform, Jatayu. With that, you might be wondering that what is this program is so different from the other programs that you might have participated, whether it is hackathon or any other industry programs, be it a bridge course or be it a internship that you might have done in various industries, or you might have heard about such programs. But if you ask me, Jatayu is a very, very unique program. What we have done is it's just not one of an event and you are done with an ideation or a working prototype, but it is more of a continuous learning. So in this platform, what you are going to experience is how in industry an idea is taken from all the way from an a simple idea to reality side of it. While you are doing that, you'll get a chance to interact with our subject matter experts, domain experts. And while you are doing all these things, what more that you can get to experience how an entrepreneur looks like. So this is a very unique combination of entrepreneurship and then combined with innovation. And you will get a chance to work on a greatest technologies that is available today with us. So in fact, we are all fortunate enough to kind of be in this situation right at this moment. While I'm talking about these technologies, let me give you a hint in terms of what are those use cases that we are going to discuss, and then how these technologies are going to help you better. And my colleague Vikram will also talk few things about that. But most important aspect that I would like to cover is for any innovator or for any innovation to be more successful, it's very, very important that the barriers come down a little bit. When I say barrier here, it is first and the foremost thing we are talking about the technology barrier side of it, right? Look at the consumerization of these technologies. 5 years back, if someone is trying to talk to their remote, you might be wondering that he is, what is he really up to? And then what is he trying to do, right? Today, even my mother, even at her age, she is able to learn how to interact with a Siri or the Alexa, which is built into these remote, and then she can talk to a TV, which was so lifeless. And these kind of a conversation platform, which are earlier only available to very few individuals or very few enterprises, have entered in a mass way. And these consumerization of these technologies and the way you can afford it has leading to a lot of innovation that's going to take place in this manner. And also let me tell you that as we are taking more and more solutions into this stride, the future is going to be completely different, and we have to imagine what that next 2 to 3 years is going to be, and that's where the use cases that you are going to work on is going to have a tremendous impact on that. So with that, why don't I hand it over to Vikram and then talk few things about what are these use cases that we are going to see today, and then how we can discuss about it. And we'll keep this session very flexible. The next 20-25 minutes, we'll talk through these use cases, and then we'll also tell you how you can go ahead and solve these use cases and in what format we are looking forward to take this program ahead. Those are some of the things that we will cover. But with that, why don't I invite Vikram to start and kickstart this wonderful journey. Over to you, Vikram.
Thanks a lot, Giri, and good evening, respected teachers and dear students. It's really exciting to be part of this innovative initiative. I'll quickly take you through the use cases that we're going to cover. So when you're able to see my screen.
Not yet, Vikram.
Okay. Now?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we are going to cover 5 key use cases in this program. So the first one being product servitization. Which there, first one being product servitization, which basically means how do you convert products to services, to generate regular income or regular revenue from those. Apple is an example, right? Apple being a pioneer in mobile phones, have recently changed their strategy for banking on their subscription model, gaining revenue or increasing the revenue through service subscriptions. We'll cover more in detail as we move forward. The second one is a digital wallet for connected things. So this essentially talks about the concept of all the digitally connected things. Basically, Internet of Things has enabled so many devices to talk to each other, and we have a good ecosystem of different devices communicating with each other using IoT. So the concept here is how can these things go one step ahead and start making payments for different services that sit on those things. So that's the broad concept. We'll definitely touch upon this in detail later. Third one is intelligent edge. Now, intelligent edge is basically a combination of artificial intelligence and edge computing. So what happens when edge computing's power is increased multifold by adding artificial intelligence to it? So we'll explore that in this use case. Fourth one is AI-based content moderation. Now, this use case focuses on how we can use artificial intelligence for moderating content on social media and other platforms, which has been a challenge given the increasing volumes of users across the world. So that's one area we'll cover in this use case. The last but not the least is automation in game testing. Now, game testing, because of the massive and the massively interconnected games currently in use, there is a lot of challenge companies are facing for testing these games before launch. So automation is the need of the hour in these areas. There is some work already done. We will try to explore how we can come up with more ideas and use cases or different ideas on improving further on this. With that, I'll hand it over to Giri to walk us through product servitization use case in detail. Over to you, Giri.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Vikram. So team, you might be wondering, we have already started using a lot of industry terms, use cases, and you might be wondering what is this use case means, and why are we even telling you these use cases? Typically, for any innovator, his journey starts with a story, or in this case, the problem statement is a story for us to go and solve it, right? This is like a wonderful mechanism in which we will go ahead and then see how we can apply technology inside of it. So for you to be a successful innovator, first you have to understand what is that problem that I'm going to solve and who will get benefited by solving that problem. And then why am I even solving that problem and what impact I'm going to create out of that. So with that, as product servitization as one key element, if I take it, we didn't pick up these use cases randomly, but what these things are going to become is the future, or these are the mega trends that we are going to see as we embark on this digital journey, right? So just to give an example on product servitization, I'll not elaborate too much on that, this is not a very new concept. It is only started picking up now because the way as I explained earlier, the technology itself is becoming more and more affordable, and it is reaching the last mile. Now, to that extent, where were the first product servitization that took place? If someone wants to ask that question, it started in the airline industry. So if you know, in any aircraft, the engines are not bought out. So that means engine manufacturers like GE, they never sell their engines to aircraft manufacturers. They only lease it for the lifetime. Now, what happens is every time a pilot uses the thrust, the amount of the wear and tear that happens, all those informations, the usage information will be picked up by various sensors that are present in this engine. And this data, once the plane touches the ground, this data is collected, and then that will be used for further maintenance cycles and chargeback mechanism and things like that. So if you have observed, that is why in any aircraft, even though they can go at extra speed, they'll never achieve that. The moment they put extra thrust, they have to pay more money to the engine manufacturer company. That's the secret behind that. Now with that, if I want to give you another example, which is there on the slide on the right hand side, how we can reimagine the products that are becoming like a service, right? Just to simplify things for you, look at Philips. Today, if they are selling these MRI machines to hospitals, uh, the hospitals have to have all the headache of maintaining this MRI, their service cycles, and they have to buy AMC and warranty, and that cost is humongous. Now, Philips thought that, let us change the business model. Instead of selling this product, we will give you per scan, we will charge the hospital so that you don't have to pay anything upfront, right? We call that as a no capex per kind of a thing. So that means no capital expenditure is involved in buying this machine. All hospitals want to do is just rent it out. Keep this machine as a rental. Whenever they scan it, they have to pay money to the Philips. That's the paper scan kind of a model. Now, people are still not happy with this model. They said that if by chance, by error, if I scan wrongly, I'll start paying the the OEMs or the equipment manufacturer unnecessarily. Now, how can you add more value to the customers? That's the question. The hospitals and other guys, they started asking. The next thing what Philips did is, okay, don't pay us per scan, but pay us per diagnosis. So here is where they used, AI, ML, and then combined with more sensors into it, so that they exactly know how they are being using this scanner for how many patients are there, are they out of capacity, and these intelligent machine learning algorithms, they can do diagnosis on behalf of human beings, almost like a doctor, right? And then it will help the diagnosis much faster. And you have to pay only for those diagnoses and not the number of scans. So if there is no value to you, don't even bother paying up. That's the kind of model it offered. And this opened up a new I would say, the possibilities going forward. So what happens now is, if there is any problem with that MRI machine, the hospital staff, they don't have to call up the equipment manufacturer to come and repair it. The machine itself automatically raises a ticket, and then a service technician comes with the exact parts, because everything is connected through Internet of Things, and they exactly know what is the problem. And then he comes over there, and suddenly he realizes that, hey, this is the old model. I have not even been trained on this. So, in a split of a second, he wears an augmented reality based goggles, and then the system will start teaching him on how to repair that, right? In bringing him the 3D models, and in front of him, it will start showing him the details, rip apart part of these MRI machines, and then he can seamlessly do that without much of a training requirement. So this enhances the productivity, this enhances the efficiencies, and it is so hassle-free, and this experience is phenomenal. But this technology or this model wouldn't have worked 2-3 years back, because we were all having a mindset problem. This pandemic thing shifted us to a next level, wherein we are okay to lease out many things, right? Gone are these days where you would like to have a ownership on that. So going forward, in my humble opinion, None of the digital millennials like you will never buy a car, you will never buy a refrigerator, you will never buy a washing machine in your home, but you will rent it up for lifetime. And if there is any change in requirement, you will simply dial up. And like how you consume your digital cable today in terms of different channels, upgrading your package and things like that, you will be just upgrading your product and then enjoying the value that comes out of it through servitization. With that, we want you to imagine and then come out with these details of artifacts and then how you want to present this solution to us. There is a template in the end that we will talk about it so that you can fill up the template and then submit your ideas around it. We have just given you and then shown a tip of the iceberg, but there is not more to explore, and we will teach you how to do that going forward. So with that, why don't we move to the next one where we can talk a little bit about second use case or the second problems. So Vikram, do you want to
Sure.
go through this?
Sure, Giri. Yeah. So here we are talking about digital wallet for connected things. Now, connected things means all the devices that are connected using IoT. Okay, a very good example could be your smart homes, where many different devices talk to each other and are controlled by a central device. Another example could be a connected car, where you have a lot of transactions happening using IoT through the car that is connected using internet. Uh, you know. So that is one example. Now, what we are talking about here is the payment side of the transactions that are done through these connected devices. Essentially, the way we know digital wallets so far are more from a mobile perspective, right? So mobile has been the key device making payments transactions using a digital wallet that sits on mobile. Now, what we are trying to explore further is, can this payment aspect be explored from these connected device perspective? Can these connected device autonomously make payments without having a mobile device as an interface? So for example, if you are driving a car that is connected using IoT, and there are different payments that you make while driving. For example, you get the fuel filled in a car, or let's say you pay a toll tax while crossing a toll-based road, or you're making an in-app purchase for music or podcast. So how can you make such payments just by, how can the car make these payments on its own? So that's possible using IoT. And what we are also exploring here is, can there be an alternate way of making payments other than the conventional banking route? And there is an option available in the form of cryptocurrency, which is a blockchain-based currency. Libra is what we are trying to experiment with. So when you work on this use case, you may have to come up with ideas and the technological architecture around how things will be connected and make payments on their own using the Libra platform, which is an alternate currency or a cryptocurrency. So you can, I have provided a link on this slide, more on Libra. You can click on that if you want to know more about Libra, since that's a very new concept. You can study it. Essentially, it's a blockchain-based cryptocurrency that reduces the requirement of intermediaries that we actually pay a lot of money to for just enabling transactions. So for example, if you make a payment through a card, there are many payment processing intermediaries to which around 1.5 to 2% of the transaction goes just for enabling that transaction. Now, if you're using a cryptocurrency, it actually cuts through that intermediary layer. So that is the advantage, and also it provides a lot of other advantages like transparency, a complete control on the transaction flow. You can read more on the Libra page, for which I have provided the link. Next use case that we have is on intelligent edge. Now, edge computing has been, gaining a lot of, attention these days because of the capacity it brings in for computing in large volumes and the speed that it brings in. What we are trying to explore here, can how can this edge computing be used in a more intelligent manner, that it can enable different devices, or different transactions using AI, and make more intelligent decisions. So basically, the decision making factor, which usually is lacking in the computing world, where the human intervention is always required, how can it cut through it and use AI to do that? So few examples we have added here, and we would want you to explore Google Coral, and learn more about it and use Google Coral to explore these ideas and any other ideas that you can come across. So first one is proctoring services. So proctoring service is nothing but monitoring remotely, on any device, or the work being done on a device. So one example is, for example, proctoring services for examinations. So when you are doing examinations, you are answering questions, sitting on a system, being connected remotely. How do you get supervised? How can somebody check it? So proctoring services is something which enables that. You can be supervised remotely using proctoring services. Second is visual inspection of defects, also called as cognitive quality. So there are a lot of, in a AI-driven, quality testing scenario, a lot of defects can be identified much more, productively when compared to a human quality testing, setup. So there are some numbers I have kept here based on the McKinsey study that says it up to, productivity increase up to 50%, and defect detection rates are almost up to 90% compared to human inspection. So we have to explore this more on how to do it, and there are use cases being talked about, but yeah, we have to look at the application part of it more. Image analytics is the third example we have captured here. Now, what we would like to explore is, can intelligent edge computing help in image analysis and achieve tasks similar to rating of ads and other similar activities that require closely observing the images or the video content. So that is something we would like to explore using image analytics. Fourth one is an example of smart city. So with the kind of scale at which different devices are connected in a smart city, and the kind of automation which is done in a smart city, the sheer volume becomes very difficult to manage, and the dependency of the whole infrastructure on that, interconnectedness is huge. Now, using edge computing, of course, this can be done. We need to identify how AI can accelerate it and how AI can reduce the chances of failure in such a scenario. So you have to explore those kind of scenarios and come up with ideas. So this is precisely what we are trying to achieve in this use case of intelligent edge. Over to you, Giri, for next use case.
Sure, thanks a lot, Vikram. So the next one is the most favorite one, right? This I call it as a humanized technology. If you look at a lot of today, we are so comfortable using the conversations platform, whether it is Siri or whether it is Google Assist. In any of these things, what we do is we talk to machine as if there is another human being on the other side. Now, while doing that, it is also very important to provide the safety and security part of it. Many of these things, you might have read a lot of cases where without a moderation, how this is becoming a threat for people to indulge in the social media, or whether it is chatbots or conversations. So how do I ensure that there is a safety and the security provided, especially if someone is trying to participate in these digital channels. Now, this particular use case, what we are trying to focus is in terms of how do we do moderations when it comes to chatbots, and then uh, uh, scan through the slang or sarcasm, profanity, hate speech, and things like that, and then eliminate at the source itself, so that this becomes a very safe, and then you can guard the interest of the users as well. Now, when it comes to the most important one is the images and the videos sort of it, right? Today, a lot of attempts have been made. Um, I'm sure you might have heard about this when Facebook was trying to do this. There was a live stream of a very violent shootout that took place, was being live telecasted through Facebook, and they couldn't do anything. And this leads to a lot of legal problems, and they'll get into the situation where they have to live with that. Now, the question that we are trying to ask is there a way that we can bring in AI-based intelligence in terms of moderating, whether it is images, videos, or textual content? How do I even understand the context in which someone is coming out? And also, when it comes to your voice modulation, can machines understand whether you are shouting or are you frustrated? So this whole thing will change not only on the moderation part of it or acting like a censorship, but it will also enhance us the experience side of it. So we thought this industrial use case is pretty valid and relevant in the days to come, and this is going to become a mainstream and pretty important to have that as part of the as one of the solution that we are seriously considering it over here. So with that, let me move to the next one, which is very close to what we are talking about, is the indulgence of digital technologies, right? One, as you might have read through various sources, and you yourself might be experiencing it. Today, the gaming industry is becoming really big. We are talking about 152 billion, but then it will explode multifold. It will reach somewhere close to 200 billion in the next 2 years. And a lot of these, your mobile phones are becoming so powerful. Gone are those days where you have to depend on the console part of it, right? So when a gaming company is trying to release as many games as possible to gain more market share and make their presence felt, it is important for them to release a bug-free game. Now, most the challenging one would be a massively multiplayer online games. Here, it's very difficult to create all the scenarios where, earlier in those days with the console games, only one player, and then you can cover a lot more combination permutation. But how will you do the testing in a massively parallel or a multiplayer online games? That becomes a huge problem. And this is a real industry in a challenge today in terms of how do we bring in automation to build a bot kind of a thing. And there are various open source frameworks and libraries, SDKs available for you to build a bot. And this bot can behave just like a human being, and it can play the game in various scenarios and things like that. I think you will really enjoy this particular use case as much as you would have seen other use cases as well. But this one is going to be really a game changer for the days to come, and then how we will make these games not only experiential but also bug-free and provides a seamless experience to its end users and helping our customers to deliver value at the end of the day. That brings us to the end of the use cases. But the overall intent over here is just to give you an idea in terms of how typically in the industry we look at the problem statements. It is just not a simple problem statement, right? It comes with a lot of context, and then deep research is required over here in terms of understanding this problem. So as someone has rightly said, if you have understood the problem, then solution is very easy. So if you have 1 hour, spend 59 minutes in understanding the problem, and the last 1 minute is enough for you to come out with the solution. That's exactly what we are trying to do in Jatayu. We are giving you the first phase to completely understand, immerse yourself, and then get into the shoes of the customers in while you are solving these use cases. And to do that, you have to first understand what is the business need, where is this opportunity, and we have given you some guiding questions to help you in terms of identifying these problem opportunities, customer target segments, and things like that. So look at that. By doing this, we are helping you to become an entrepreneur. So you can tomorrow you can start your own company, and this exercise will help you to start thinking through who are my customers, what problems they are having, what opportunity do I have, and how do I go about it, right? That's pretty much what you will, from the template perspective, you will fill in and you will start your journey. The second one you will think through is, where is the market? If you are building something where there is no demand and people are not even interested in that, then this solution is of no use and there is no business value in that. So you have to start thinking through how big this market is, and how do I sell this? Where is the growth coming from? What changes are happening over here? That you will articulate pretty well, and that's pretty much what gives you the power of taking this and doing this pitch to pretty much treat Virtusa as your venture capitalist and impress us with this two high-level proposition, and we'll be more than happy to listen to you. And the last two things will be very easy for you, because in order to address this, you have to come out with a very, very unique solution and the idea. A lot of solutions are available out in the market, but most important is, what is your USP in doing that unique selling point, and as well as support it with rich use case diagrams. What we have shown you is just 1 or 2 use cases. There are hundreds of use cases like this. So we have just shown you an example of that. Try to produce as many as use cases as possible, and then say that to solve that, here is my technology stack. You might have already seen we have given enough clue in terms of what are those technologies you can use, be it IoT, blockchain, AI, ML, and then AR, VR, all 4 IR kind of technologies. We have opened it up in front of you. Then how do I make use of that? And then come out with a reference architecture at a high level. We don't expect you to get into a very detailed architecture over there, but a simple one, easy to understand. In a nutshell, you would have conveyed your solution idea pretty well to us. Then the most important one is, while you are addressing all these things, what is the business impact? How do I measure my success? Whether it is improvement in my operations cost, or how do I decrease my expenditure, how the customer will get benefited with more revenue coming to his areas. All these things, if you can narrate it in a storyline, that will be an impressive solution for each of these use cases that we have spoken today. Now, having said, you might be thinking that, okay, should I have to address all the use cases? Yes. Every college, it is mandatory to have all these use cases getting addressed. There is an extra weightage that we are going to associate. The more number of use cases from each college you are going to cover, you will have a better chances of getting it to the next stage, where you will have a hands-on experience, and then you will actually be implementing your own ideas, and then you are almost becoming an entrepreneur, enjoying the industry relationship, and then there will be mentors who will be guiding you through this process as you go forward. That's the intent behind this whole session. I'm sure you'll have plenty of questions to ask, and then it's not fair on us if I don't take up those questions from your side. Why don't I open it up? We still have 15 minutes on the clock, so it would be nice to have this interaction. I hate one-way conversations or this monologue, so let us get into a dialogue now. So Kriti and Shri, we can open the floor for questions.
Thanks, Giri. So I will start picking the questions. So the first question, most of them have actually not revealed their identity for various reasons. So the first question is from Ritika. She's asking what task we will have to perform in this competition.
Okay, great question, Ritika. As you might have seen, um, as a first ideathon leg, where you will get selected to the next round of implementation, all you have to do is complete this template that I'm showing in front of you with as much as detail possible. So once you detail it out, come out with the solution approach, as well as come out with this use cases diagram, which I have shown earlier as well, and then propose the technology viability. Essentially, we want to see how you think about coming out with a solution. Need not be very complicated, because what in my experience, you are the most brilliant and the most innovative mind that exists in the academia, right? If industry don't tap into this innovative mind, then we are doing something wrong here. So in my opinion, you'll exceed far more than actually what happens in the industry. So come out with brilliant solutions and then showcase it in front of us to get selected for the next round. So this is a very high level pitch on in like a VC pitch you do to get into the funding mode, right? So that is the track that we are taking.
So the next question, anonymous user, have we achieved enough confidence that IoTs are secure enough so that we can ask public to connect their bank to it?
Great question. In fact, that's where the blockchain plays an important role. More than the IoT, here in the blockchain, what happens is it is an immutable ledger. That means in any transaction that happens over there, there is nothing called deletion. Even to delete a node in the blockchain, you have to insert another node and then say it is deleted, right? So there is a history that you can never take off from here. And the way the Facebook Libra has been designed is there is a new protocol they have implemented called Libra BFT. This is the industry's most secured protocol when it comes to cryptocurrency, better than the Bitcoin, wherein there are in a consensus node in the blockchain which will decide which transaction is a valid transaction to be inserted into it. So in no way when you do a transaction somebody can do and then hijack your wallet and things like that, right? So it's a most industrial secured one, and it's an open source. That's the best part of it. That's why we have opened it up for you to come out and say, you know what, build wallets, digital wallets for things. It could be cars, it could be your refrigerators. Who knows, tomorrow you will get used to it. Your refrigerator will go and do e-commerce on behalf of you. It will do shopping for you. And then you can allocate pocket money, like how your parents gives you the pocket money, and they will struggle to get you the maximum benefit out of that. That's the intent in which you go and then do it. But very valid question. Think through the security aspect, performance aspect, scalability aspect as you are putting these solution ideas forward. Very, very good question. Thanks for bringing it up.
The next one, pretty lengthy question again from an anonymous user. Sir, cost of Google Coral is almost 14,000. Would we be provided with the edge devices? Also, Coral runs on Google TPO, which accelerates TensorFlow models. But there are also a good share of PyTorch developers, and PyTorch does not allow TPO accelerators on edge. We can use TPUs using the XLA compiler only on Collab. Is there any compulsion to use a TPU, or can we use CUDA based accelerators?
Excellent. I really want to meet you. So the anonymous could be reaching out to me directly. In fact, this is a very strategic question what you have asked. There are two reasons why I went with the Google Coral. One, if you look at it, it's a highly consumerized device. Google is very ambitious. They are very much wanted to put this device very close to some of these data where they can make an intelligence out of it. So this is rising to a new thing called cloud-led computing, or we call it as a fog computing in our parlance, right? Now, all questions, I mean, your questions are pretty much valid, and I agree with you that we don't force you to buy it because we are not promoting Google Coral here. But the idea behind that is they would have already standardized so much thing for you, including the model that is available for you. If you are building a proctoring solution, for example, the TPU model with face recognition, everything is already available on it, Google Coral, and you can just attach to it, and then you don't have to develop everything. The most problematic thing for you as you embark on that journey would be training. That data set you will not get outside, right? Somebody should have already trained it, and this model should be made available to you. Then you will be able to solve it. Otherwise, you will get into a primary research role where you will start training this model with millions of devices, images and things like that, and that in a very short span you will not be able to achieve it. So that's why we wanted to give you something which is already standardized, so that you don't have to build anything from the scratch. So use a Lego block kind of an approach in your solutions. Like, how quickly I can take and then start assembling it. This is pretty much like an automotive industry does it, right? It's like, otherwise it's reinventing the wheel. You have to start building from the wheel and then build a whole car. That's possible in all aspect. It is possible, but it's going to take longer time. Just to speed up, I am recommending. But if there is a constraint, you are more than happy, I mean, you are more than free to do it the way you would like to implement it. I support all other technologies as well, and I'll be more than happy to accept your solution as well. There is no way that we are going to force you on a particular technology or a platform.
So before I read out the next question, just a general instruction. Many questions are coming around. Do we have to come up with our own use case or how? I just wanted to let everybody know that the presentation that we showed right now, those 5 use cases, it will be sent to you tonight, and each team will have to pick up one of those use case and then work on it. And for the first stage, it is only coming up with your idea in a presentation format and nothing more. Those will be evaluated. Now, going to the next question, Giri. So,
Yeah.
a couple of them have asked, now, how will you judge from the presentation that is being shared? They will work on the presentation, they are going to work on that idea on one of the use case, and then they are going to submit. So, how does it work?
Good, great question again. First, we would like to see the how complete your presentation is in terms of all the points that we have mentioned. There is a weightage associated with in terms of how deep you have gone to it. Have you covered every aspect about it? And then the second aspect that we are going to see is there a USP that you are bringing in? So even though we have constrained you with a use case, inside that use case itself, can you be very innovative in terms of addressing the market or your business model, or changing few technology stack, like the previous question, the one of the anonymous student has asked about how can I leverage other technologies to play around. Play all those things in front of us, and I'm sure for each one of that, these points which I'm talking about has got a pretty tremendous weightage into it. So more importantly, don't get bogged down with the complexity. Try to make it as simple as possible, and then see whether there is any value that you can derive out of this solution. That's the most critical aspect about it.
So the next question is from Charan. We have to present idea or a real-time object with that idea.
I don't know what you mean by real object, Sharon, but if I guess you are asking whether it is a POC or should I have to provide any working code to support that. In the first phase, you don't have to submit any working code, but at the same time, it cannot be a very hypothetical solution, right? We are going to see your technology feasibility as well, and you have to show in that reference architecture how you are going to integrate, which services that you are going to consume, what will be your platform look like, how you are going to solve it. If everything makes sense, then we will certainly look at it. But if you assume something pretty in a very hazy manner, that is where it will have a shortfall. So get to a point where it's feasible. Take your help from your mentors, your senior faculty members, professors in your institution. They will also guide you in terms of how to think through these solution stack, reference architectures, and things like that. Not only that, they can also give you more insight in terms of the market segment and things like that. So as my friend and colleague Vikram, he mentioned about it, do a lot of study and at least dedicate yourself 2 to 3 days in terms of researching. A lot of papers will be there, analyst reports will be there. Go through it and then find out how this industry is moving forward. So it is more of you coming as a true entrepreneur and pitching this business idea and convincing Virtusa that you are the right person to implement the next phase. So that's how I will conclude.
So the next question from an anonymous user: for product servitization, do we try to servitize a particular product or in general?
Yeah, very good question. You don't have to servitize a particular product, but come out with a framework. When I say framework, it can be a plug and play, right? I can easily take this framework, for example, and apply to medical device manufacturing, like how I showed you an example where I can start offering MRI as a service rather than a product. Or you can take the same framework and apply it to the car manufacturing, and then you can offer this as a service. Or you can even take this to a fleet or a tire manufacturing company and say instead of they selling the tires, they can offer pay by mile kind of a thing, right? Where they can monitor the tire pressure, because the tire wear and tear will happen because of the improper tire pressure. So you can go to even a dumbest product and then you can make it intelligent. So the clue lies in terms of how do I make that product intelligent, connected, and then once the data comes out of it, can I monitor in remotely and then see how it is being used? Is there any abuse on that? Is there any effect on the warranty? Are there any maintenance I have to do it? And how do I speed up my service efficiency? Without spending too much money, can the service technician precisely in one visit can he repair and come back rather than multiple visits and things like that? So your idea should encompass all these things and have it like a framework so that you can fit it to any industry without getting bogged down with one product or one industry, in my opinion.
The next question from Neval Porus. Hi sir, should we produce an idea which is not yet been revolutionized and make it into a business model?
If you have one, I would like to definitely hear about that, especially that resonates with these use cases. My sincere request would be, don't go beyond the use case. The reason why I kept the use case as a center in a center theme is, what happens in an innovation world is it is very easy for you to move far from the reality, right? And sometimes there won't be any business value out of that. So what we have heard from our customers, what we have heard from analysts, what we have heard from the industry bodies, we have kind of curated that and then presented in these 5 use cases. This itself is enormous in terms of going and applying your mind on that. So stay focused on this, but please be very, very innovative in your idea submissions and then make it more countable. That is also one of the key things that we are going to evaluate. I was talking to Vikram that if your idea is very unique and there is a lot of potential in that, we will invest in your idea. That's pretty much, and I can guarantee you that it will not go waste.
So the next question is from Uddhav Sinha. Let's say we pass the ideathon, but in implementation, do we have to implement it completely, or we can use open source AI models just for demonstration?
Yes, I would like to encourage you to use open source, and you are free to use any components that you can bring in. We are not saying that you have to build everything from the scratch. As I uh, elaborated earlier, use a component, Lego model kind of a thing. Component based engineering is the best way to go forward, and that is pretty much how inside Virtusa also we are innovating and we are helping our customers. So I'm not saying that you should build everything from the scratch. Go ahead, embrace open source. There is no penalty on that. And you can also, while that implementation is happening, I can tell you that we will also support you in terms of giving you components. Virtusa has created tons and tons of components repository, and those are the things that we are going to gamify it. You have to buy those components from us. Like a true entrepreneur, we'll give you virtual funding, and you have to spend that money in buying various things. So be judicious and then make profit out of it. That is how you will become the winner of the second round. I've just given you a hint, but there is a lot of excitement that is coming on your way.
Next question, can the product be 100% software based with no hardware implementation?
Yes, absolutely. It can be 100% software. There is no restriction that we are bringing in. But if you can bring in the hardware side of it, wherever that is relevant, I'm not saying that you should force fit it. So at least during your demonstration, you would like to do it. You can bring in, especially in the automation use case, what we spoke about it. There is no hardware involved in that. But depending on the various complexity of these use cases, there are also weightages associated with that. So don't lose out an opportunity to go and try out all out. So think like an entrepreneur. Again, I'm telling you repeatedly, and then convince this your VCs, venture capitalists, that your idea is one of the unique and great, so that we will start investing in your idea.
Can we develop AI to an extent where it really is humanized enough to suit the daily needs of a working individual?
That's where I'm trying to say, if you start going beyond the use case. So if you're in your daily life, if you are bringing chatbot as one of the use case, uh, go ahead. You are free to do it as long as you can demonstrate that you are able to moderate the content and how it is going to help on a daily basis. That's a wonderful use case that we would like to hear.
Can the idea taken up have more than one use case combined, like IoT with cryptocurrency with edge technology?
Yes, don't get confused between use case and the technology. For the same use case, use multiple technologies. For example, the product servitization, you can use IoT, you can use blockchain for maintaining the records and then giving the traceability. And then you can use AI/ML to do predictive maintenance, and you can use AR VR for the technician to see through the inside of inside that machine, and then if you had to carry out certain operations, all those things are possible. Don't limit that, but then don't build a solution which will cut across the use cases. I know where you are coming from. That's a very good point as well. But if you can intelligently craft it, for example, while you are doing product servitization, you build the digital wallet inside the product. So you are combining essentially two use cases in one solution. That's a brilliant way of doing it. If you can demonstrate that, um, I'll be more than happy to do it. Take a look at it, and then we'll definitely consider that. That's a very, very powerful thing you are talking about. But look at the timelines. Can I do that in the implementation part of it? You have to be your own judge, but I will encourage you to go much wild imaginations you can bring in. Go ahead, go bonkers on that. That's pretty much what Vikram keeps saying.
Is automation in game testing only for MMORPG games? If so, which games should be used to test?
It's not limited to massively multiplayer game or MMO games, we call it as. You can do it for anything, and be it for usability testing or be it for functionality testing. That's just the one example I had given, but you can do it anything. For example, you can automate on screen grabbing. How you can automate it? That's a big challenge. Using a vision, camera-based vision, can I do the player, how he plays with that? How is his interaction? Can I study through a camera, a second camera? That is also possible. Many automation frameworks are available for that. Make use of Selenium framework. Make use of there is something called GameDriver.io. Use any framework and in go very imaginative on that. Don't even get restricted. Play as much as games as possible. There is no restrictions on our side.
If we are into top 25 team and some of the technologies that we might know them, our idea uses blockchain technology like that we have, will there be help to us and in what will you do this and how to approach this type of a technology?
Yes, you will get a help, Kriti. The point that we are bringing over there is each of these teams will be virtually funded. You will be given a virtual currency of $50,000, and then you can use it to buy help from Virtusa, buy components from us, or you can use that to buy or rent our own lab or hardware. Anything you want to do it, you can use this currency. We'll also give you access to cloud, whether it is GCP, and then there you can also spend your virtual currency. But be judicious about how you are going to use that. But I'm not saying that or discouraging you that you will not get help. You will certainly get help. There will be a mentor attached to you, and we will give you full support. Don't even have a hesitation when it comes to innovating something like this. It's 100% partnership model that we are bringing in, and we will support you on that. Don't worry.
Previously, Giri sir said the more use cases you integrate, the better odds we have. So, is it a presentation on multiple cases or a single use case?
Okay, you can upfront you can declare that I'm going to combine more than 3 use cases in my solution, what I'm uniquely presenting, and then say that how they are stitched together. That's that format is allowed. This is just a guidelines what we are giving, but at the same time, we don't want to box you in. The moment I put you in a box, your innovation will stop. But at the same time, if I leave you too free, then you will also get lost, right? So I have done a very balanced act of managing both the freedom as well as bringing some structure into that. So that's very, very flexible over here. Use your imagination. We will certainly consider that. In my opinion, we are not going to just simply uh, simply reject a claim or a solution without giving a proper justification to that. Each one of it is a great idea. We are going to scrutinize that, and everything is so valuable to Virtusa. That's the culture we come with.
An interesting question. What about the patent opportunities?
Yes, if it is completely yours, we will support you to file a patent that will be sponsored by Virtusa. Only thing is, we will have the first use of that IP, but as a IP owner, it belongs to you. And if you are investing on that, then we will have the first refusal on that. That's pretty much that's how in the industry also goes by, and that is how we also deal with our customers. So to that extent, I will support you on the IP. Please come with that, and our country needs more patents. So I'll encourage you to do that.
I have two more questions. Is it mandatory for each group to address every use case? And do we have to present the presentation live or just the idea?
Uh, I'll take this in two parts. One, same team need not have to stretch to address all the use cases. Per college, we are saying that it is mandatory that every college addresses all the use cases. Otherwise, what will happen is there will be an imbalance in the use cases, and it is very difficult for us to compare. So when it comes to inter-college, it is all the use cases have to be present. But when it comes to inter-team, you don't have to necessarily do, address all the use cases. You can stick to one, talk to your other team members what they are working on, and then see in a collaborative fashion you can balance out all the use cases from your college. So represent your college in that way. You don't have to do a live presentation. It will be very difficult for us to go through all those ideas in a interaction like this, but it will be an offline submission that we will be going through it. And if there are any questions, that then we will certainly get in touch with your team lead. That's pretty much what Kriti has announced in the beginning itself.
The last question, what you expect us to do, whether we need to create our own problem statement with those use cases or come up with a solution or something else.
So I have simplified it for you by giving a problem statement and a use case in a very loose manner. I'm not saying that that is the only problem statement that you should look in that use case. If you can derive more problem statement out of that use case, please feel free to do so. While you are articulating the problem statements, it is very important for you to say that how you are going to address that problem statement. So in your presentation, it's just not about finding the solution to a given problem. Don't limit yourself like that, right? Be imaginative, be innovative, and then expand the use case what we have given to you. Then it will be a lot more challenging and fun. The more you expand, there will be chances of you getting into the second phase will be a lot more higher.
So with this, we come to the end of the Q&A part as well. I just wanted to reiterate because there were a couple of more questions that were like more generic in nature. So I just wanted to let the team know this is actually a 4-phase competition. Phase 1, tonight you will get the use cases to your mailbox. Each of the spots you will receive it, and you will have to discuss with your team member which idea that you would like to take it up, and then you start preparing. The timeline as already shared with you in the document that has been shared with your college. We will also attach that timeline document as well for your ready reference. Now, basis that you are expected to submit to your particular college, and your college faculties will do the first level of review, and they will filter out the best presentations, and then they will be submitting it to us. And then our mentors along with the leadership will review those presentations and pick up the top presentations. They will be moved to level 3. Level 2 is vertical evaluation. Level 3 will be your prototyping. You will be given 4 to 6 weeks time to do a prototype, and from there we will pick up the top 5 teams who will be referred to as potential winners, and these 5 teams will be given an opportunity to do an internship with Virtusa during the month of December and January. And at this time, we expect you to do industrialization of the use case that you have picked up. This is the overall process at a very high level. Giri sir, is there anything that you would like to add here?
That is perfect. In fact, I would say that um, this will result in an offer rollout as well. That is an opportunity for you to enter the industries. So it's just not the campus recruitment alone, but use this informal channel to get inside a company which is very innovative, which is very forward looking. And Varchisa is the place for you. And I invite each one of you to take full advantage of this. And this is a great opportunity that we are going to create it for you.
So, any closing comments from your side, Giri?
No, it's fantastic. In fact, it was great talking to all my dear students, and even though I can't see their faces, but I can imagine with all my past experience given. And as always, I'm quite excited to be part of this Jatayu program. And this truly reflects Virtusa's culture as well, our values and belief system, where we truly believe that innovation is the only way to go forward, and how we have to help our customers in solving tomorrow's problem and create that great impact through that, creating a better world, better society. And with that, let's make technology a humanized one, and let's look forward for that future, and then be a as Sri mentioned, the Jatayu is the only vehicle for you to embark on that journey, then take that flight, explore, and then enjoy and be part of this exciting program. Thanks once again, and I truly looking forward to work with you all.
Thanks, Giri. Sri, over to you for the final closure.
Thank you, Kriti. Thank you all. We have come to the closing of this curtain raiser event. Let us wish that Jatayu soars greater heights of success as we prepare for its first flight and initial phase today. Once again, I thank all the ladies and gentlemen for your patience, cooperation, and your precious time. Wishing you all a very blissful evening and a very good luck to all the participants. Stay tuned until we meet in the grand event, and this is Sri Suresh signing off. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.